Hello, and welcome back to the Great Hall. So, we're adding 2 new portraits to the Great Hall Gallery. Frederick Douglass, abolitionist and orator, and William Brown, native of Worcester, and the first Black man to become a member of the Worcester County Mechanics Association. He's also the great-great-grandfather of our own John Goldsberry, honorary trustee of the association. Both men have been selected by the association to represent people of color who were influential in the city of Worcester at the time the other individuals in the portrait gallery were active. Both men represent the high ideals of the Mechanics Association. They were innovative and self-made men who supported the social reform issues of the day, particularly the abolition of slavery and the right to vote. They are both examples of achieving excellence, which mattered then and matters now. These 2 men will be added to an eclectic and impactful group of individuals, mechanics, statesmen, local heroes, innovators and entrepreneurs, free thinkers, and mind-benders. Adding Brown and Douglass to the Great Hall Gallery marks a major turning point in the history of our organization and of this beautiful hall. And it brings us to the question of sustainability. The sustainability of Mechanics Hall will be the result of our association's work in several areas. The most obvious is to maintain our historic property in prime condition to ensure that people will want to continue to gather here. The second is for the association to successfully include all members of our community as users of the building. It is painfully evident that Mechanics Hall is often viewed as a hallowed place, appreciated only by highbrows and the so-called culturally elite. We gained that reputation soon after the Restoration, when the most talented and respected classical and jazz artists of the day began to perform in the hall. The reputation grew as the hall became the favorite venue for galas and celebrations. The image of the hall grew even more exclusive once it became known that it is the nation's finest pre-Civil War performance hall, and that the quality of sound rivaled the best in the world. This reputation is a blessing, and it's a curse. I like to divide the history of Mechanics Hall into 4 eras. The first I call the Golden Age, when the Mechanics Association was flourishing and Mechanics Hall was the tallest building on Main Street. Social reformers, performers, scientists, educators, authors, travelers, inventors, all came to Mechanics Hall because it was in the heart of the Commonwealth and a very grand place to gather. To be sure, popular performances also took place here. Further, Mechanics Hall was the educational home of the new industries in Worcester. The cultural, social, and educational activities were enjoyed by the entire community, the rich and the poor, the laborer and entrepreneur, new immigrants, and 2nd and 3rd generation Americans. The mechanics constructed a building that made sure everyone who entered the hall was taken in with its beauty and reminded that Worcester industry conceived it and built it. The hall was meant to be inspirational and to be an example of what human beings with a big vision and a great desire can accomplish. Mechanics Hall was a well-respected facility, and the association that owns it was a highly regarded organization in the early years. It was an honor to be admitted as a member, and mechanics from throughout Massachusetts and many from New York and other New England states were members. The second era of Mechanics Hall was not so inspirational. Boxing matches and other sporting events were added to the calendar, along with the lectures, the travelogues, and the less frequent musical performances. The decline began early in the 20th century and continued until the third era of the hall, the restoration and reopening in 1977. The reemergence of Mechanics Hall was a lightning rod for Worcester. Its restoration was the first time the words Worcester Renaissance were used. Mechanics Hall was a magnificent reminder of the aspirations of the 19th century inhabitants and was a testament to a time when anything seemed possible. It was a refreshing reminder of prosperity at a time when manufacturing was suffering and the downtown was not the bustling city of post-World War II Worcester. Today, we are carving out the fourth era, a transformational time in Worcester and for our association. We are well into the first quarter of the 21st century and are finding new meaning to the value Mechanics Hall holds in the community. We are looking back to the roots of our organization and the importance of ensuring that all people are recognized and valued, that everyone can benefit from our inspirational space and are welcome to use it for the greater good. Our strategic plan includes a goal to broaden and diversify programming. Underlying that goal is the effort required to re-invite the entire community, all the cultures, all the ethnicities, all the races, all the musical and cultural traditions into Mechanics Hall to celebrate the great and inspiring diversity of human beings and the art and culture that gives voice to our differences. Which brings us back to William Brown and Frederick Douglass. In 2018, as a trustee and before she became board president, Stacy Luster reminded us of the tremendous responsibility our association had to lead the way as a major cultural organization that embraces the history and accomplishments of people of color and to give them their rightful place in our hall. She did not do it with a lot of fanfare, and she did not lecture us. We were discussing acquiring art for the promenade to enhance its appearance and to emphasize our commitment to creative expression. Stacy quietly but firmly insisted, before we talk about commissioning other art, we better first be talking about commissioning portraits of people of color to include in the Great Hall Gallery. And so, we have begun the era of 21st century transformation. The portraits of William Brown and Frederick Douglass will be a visible commitment to honor people of color and their influence on 19th century Worcester. The harder work will be to embrace and engage the communities of 21st century Worcester. If we don't, Mechanics Hall and our association could become relics instead of the trailblazers we are meant to be.